Hey Greg, what is the definition of submission?
Submission means accepting or yielding to someone else's authority or control, often by surrendering your own will or power. It can also refer to presenting something for consideration, like submitting a form.
The S word, submission. By now, I know you've already come across the many interpretation of submission, especially within the context of relationship, how people react to it, especially in the Western world. It is a slur. But there's a lot of misconceptions about submission. And even more misunderstanding about its benefit in relationships. In that definition, I think one of the most important things that they tend to be skipped over, right, is the willingness. Submission is a choice. It is not subjugation. So let's get rid of all the typical tropes. Submissive women are women who are in low socioeconomic situations, low self-esteem, are not strong. They have no other choice other than to submit to a man who will then take advantage of that, beat her up, do all these terrible things to her, mistreat her. That is modernity. That is the propaganda. So let's look at it again. We live in a country. The country has laws. You follow those laws. What is that? That is submission. You're submitting to the laws of that land. And each land has its own laws, and each land requires you to submit to those laws. Even in terms of countries, you don't even get much of a choice. I mean, I guess you do, but the consequences are quite severe, right? Job. You have a boss. Can tell you when the meetings are, can tell you what you need to improve, can give you directives. You listen, you say yes, sir. What is that if that's not submission? So all these aspects of your life, especially for women, submission is encouraged and it is expected. But for the one thing, the one most beautiful, most unique relationship in this world that has a capacity to bear the most fruit in your life, to be the most incredible blessing, most fulfilling thing you ever have, submission becomes a slur. Doesn't that make you wonder why? That in probably one of the most important decisions you can make in your life that can truly impact not only your exterior but your interior as well, can result in one of the most beautiful things, which is creation of another intelligent being. Complete magic, by the way. Submission, which is at the core of any truly beautiful relationship is demonized. And then we wonder why relationships aren't as good. People are breaking up. Divorce rates are increasing exponentially. Just because we are improving in terms of technology in society does not mean that we are not going back in other aspects, especially when it comes to interpersonal relationships. So submission is a choice. And as a woman, if you are willing to submit to strangers, submit to a country, but when it comes to the man that you've chosen, not forced on you, you've chosen to be a part of your life, to be inside you, the most vulnerable thing you can probably do with your body and your emotions. But submission is just, it's just too much. It's just the thing you cannot do. That's where we draw the boundaries. What message does that send? That as a woman, you're willing to sleep with someone who you don't trust to lead you. You're willing to have someone penetrate you who you see as an adversary, someone who can mistreat you and do terrible things to you. What does that say about your ability to pick men and the things that are important to you and your priorities? It doesn't say really good things about your character either. What I've come to realize actually is the women that choose to be submissive, because it is a choice, tend to be women with extremely high character, capacity to be completely independent. Because here's another concept I've come to realize: individuals who are interdependent, not dependent, interdependent one another, must first be individuals who can be independent. I'll give you a perfect example. Someone like Rachel Wilson, a woman who probably by every measurement that you can measure a woman in any context, really, she has excelled tremendously. Look her up. Extremely intelligent, articulate, well-read, strong mind, strong-willed. She debates. Great debater. Has a book bestseller, Amazon. Has 5 children, is being married to a husband, I think, over 2 decades now. One of the most submissive women to her husband, probably so. This is a principle-based woman. My wife, for example, came from a family of upper middle class. Her mom is in politics. Her father has been a high-level manager of a very big company for over 30-something years. She has an accounting degree. Can work any job she wants to do, be completely independent of me. Extremely submissive woman. And she is feisty, by the way. I love whenever, we go out, for example, in the market and she's haggling prices, and especially when you go back to Tanzania, stuff like that. Hard-headed, strong-willed, doesn't back down. In fact, even before I met her, that was one of the reputations that preceded her. That's another story for another day. If you see her now, like, you will think this girl has no feistiness, has nothing. But it is a choice that she made to be submissive to my leadership. Now, submission doesn't mean you're submissive to any man, which is why discernment and wisdom and knowledge on how to pick men and what to look for is extremely important. The character of the man does matter. But when you do actually choose to be with that man and establish a long-term relationship, the idea that you're willing to be with this person for the rest of your life until the day you're dead, but submission is just a terrible word. Something is not congruent in your mind. There's cognitive dissonance there. Somebody's script is controlling your life. Somebody's propaganda is controlling how you think. When you hear the word submissive, especially as a woman, and you get this feeling, a negative feeling, that speaks to your character. It shows weakness in your character traits. It signifies that you care a lot about how you're perceived more than what's actually important to you internally, and that you seek your life is based on validation from the outside and what people think of you, more than the values and principles that you have created for yourself and that you hold dear, that are congruent to the ends, to the outcomes in which you want. And that is something that you must fix. And I highly recommend that you read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, because there's something internally that is rotten, and that is affecting how you perceive submission and how you perceive relationship. You're seeing relationship from a perspective of adversarial instead of working together, interdependence, trust, love, all those things that you hear people say. But when it comes time to show it in action, it's non-existent.